Hey guys, how is everybody doing? I hope you're all doing well today and enjoying your week. It is Thursday, which means it is time for member chats. Every other Thursday, we do our member chat. And today, I'm very, very excited to have a good friend here. My good friend, Dani, who's known as Blonde into the District, is here today. And I'm going to bring her on out so she can introduce herself because she'll do a better job than I will. So hang on one second. There we go. Hey, Dani, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm good, good. So tell us who you are and what you do and why you're here.
First of all, I just realized I called you John. I've never called you John in my life.
That's
Jonathan,
okay.
hi.
Hi.
So I am Dani Sauter. I run a fashion, beauty, travel, lifestyle blog here in Washington, D.C. I also model, and I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, thank you. And she's one of the first people that, and it was even before you were really officially an influencer, wasn't it? When we first met over that orchid and the troll.
Mm-hmm. The troll.
Yeah, it was one of the first people that I met doing social media with my first client at Urban Jungle. So we met over the troll.
We met over the troll and an orchid like the one that's behind you. I can't believe that that's still alive. Props to you.
I have two that are still alive, but also I got many from them. There was many that were like, well, there's no more flowers on this. You want to take this one? I'm like, I could probably make it live for maybe. And I have two of them that are alive and still flowering. That's actually really impressive.
That's a legit talent because I have such a hard time. Like, I keep them alive for a while, but eventually I'm like, what did I do? Like, not enough ice cubes, I guess. Like, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. See, Cody always yelled at me and told me not to do the ice cubes. He always tells me to drown them in the sink and then let them dry and put them in the cup again. So I don't know. I don't know why not ice cubes, but hey.
Oh, the more you know. I hope everyone watching now knows how to properly care for an orchid.
Yes. I'll have to bring Cody on for that one. Yeah. So what is going on with social media and you? Because obviously being an influencer and having everything, it's amazing how much social media has changed since we met. Like we used to just have to do one thing. Now it's a lot more things. So what's going on with you? What are you finding is working and what isn't working? Or
social media, especially Instagram. So my main platform is Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I know during quarantine, everybody was like, get on TikTok. Now is the time to do it while we're all stuck at home. I just could never figure it out, honestly. And I feel like I spend so much of my time on social media that relearning a new platform for me, I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it right now. So my main platform is Instagram. And I have Facebook as well. I'm not as active there. And I have Twitter, but I don't post anything. I basically just scroll Twitter for news and, everything that's going on. So from an Instagram perspective, I feel like things are, I don't even know. We were talking earlier about Reels and how Reels are a great tool and an asset that you should be playing with, and have on your feed. But, I don't know. Things work, like some things that work for me may not work for other people.
Right.
Obviously, a business is going to have a different standpoint on how they push certain product or how they tell their story than like how I'm going to use it. My static posts normally are like my main sellers. Like those do normally very well for me.
Yeah. Well, as a fashion influencer, obviously the fashion photography makes a huge difference, and you have a phenomenal photographer.
Ariel, we love Ariel.
Love Ariel. So she does a phenomenal job getting some of your pictures. I love so many of them. And if you haven't checked out Blonde in the District on Instagram, it's blonde_in_the_district, all one word, and you can check her out check her out, follow her, enjoy. You have been doing reels that I find very entertaining. So I'm sure other people will find them entertaining as well. And your followers find them entertaining. You have a lot of followers. So,
and I say that in a way that's like when Reels first launched, I was like, oh great, TikTok just took over Instagram, but you can actually have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah.
And, I think it's a great way also to show like your personality. Like for me, it's a great way to show my personality. Like someone isn't going to get who I am, or like maybe understand who I am just from a static post.
Right.
But on a Reels where you're interacting and you're showing more expression, people can, it's more of a personal level, I feel like. Also stories. Stories are a great tool for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've been telling clients that for a long time, just like use the stories, and Reels now, you can use them to do, I've done some fun ones. I've done some informational ones, but I try to keep them a little bit lighter in tone and stuff. But yeah, it's a great way to show up as a human. And that's something that we need to do. I think, you'll notice it, and you've said it before, like you have to be real in your social media. If you're not real, then people aren't going to engage. Yeah.
I do have a tip for Reels. So if you haven't tried Reels yet, and you're like, I don't understand how it works. It is kind of intimidating and difficult to upload all of your like video pieces on the actual Reels. Like if you go into it, like as if you were going to do a story.
Right.
And clipping video, I use an app that's free. I think I actually paid like for the year it's called Splice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great tool to like, you can, especially if you're doing like a transitional Reels where you're like, putting something up at the camera and walking, like,
the quick transitions
it's a great tool for you to be able to record the video and then piece it together, cut them, put it all together. It's much easier. So I actually use Splice and do all the edits there, save it, and then upload it to Reels already ready.
That is a great tip, because I know Jasmine Star recommended, it might have been Splice also. I was watching the other day because I go crazy. I do them on the app and I go crazy. Like I'm like, by the end, I hate the music by the time I'm done with it, because it just plays over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to get the text right. And it's just, I find it very hard on the app. So Jasmine mentioned it. You mentioned it. I'm going to have to go download Splice and see if I can do it, because you also can't really do it on a real kind of video editing, because videos don't sit that way correctly. So
Splice also has, so you can set it to like portrait, you can set it to the 4x5, you can set it to square. So it's a really great app, and I recommend it just in general. If I'm posting like a in-feed video, I'll use Splice also.
Yeah. Well, and that's also good to know, because remember, guys, when you're doing your Reels, your text needs to either be all the way in or all the way out of that center area that shows, because you don't want it half, because then people can't read it. So generally you want it all the way into that area that shows, because people do watch the Reels in your feed and they won't necessarily see the other things that you're putting in there. So.
Also, like if your full body wants to be in it, you need it further out, because you'll get like cut off. Like I see a lot of fashion bloggers, because I follow a lot of fashion people, obviously.
Yeah.
They'll be doing like try-on sessions, and I'm only seeing like their midsection, and I'm like, I want to see everything. So when you like film them, and you can film Reels also are super easy to do on your own. All you need is a tripod.
Yep.
And you can start the video and cut the video to when you start it. It's very easy to do on your own. So if you don't have like a lot of help, they're a great, it's a great tool to use. Like,
and you can do the timer. So it gives you 3 or 10 seconds to get set up. It's a fantastic, and a tripod makes all the difference in the world, because the dogs can't hold the camera for me. So, it's definitely, just so you guys know, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in. I know there's a couple people watching. Feel free to drop questions, and I can pass them along, or if they're for me, I can answer them. But absolutely. If you have questions, drop them in there. And then, the dogs can't hold the camera. I mean, I make them do their own Reels. So the tripod comes in handy for that too.
I could imagine like your dog's behind, like no, you posed wrong. You're supposed to do this.
Or the transition. You're missing the transition, Dad. Which I would probably be doing. I would be missing the transition. But so let's see. What else could I ask you? What are you working on like right now that you're really excited about? What's got you excited? I'm not going to ask you what you're wearing, but everybody I'm sure wants to know.
So January, surprisingly, for a lot of, well, I don't know if for a lot of, I have found that January for me is normally pretty slow when it comes to like brand partnerships and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's because it's after the holidays, people are getting their budgets together for the year, but I'm working on stuff that I just want to post right now. Really fun outfits, casual looks, like everything. And that's actually kind of exciting because I have found a lot of time, my months will fill up with like, oh, I have to do this. I have a campaign for this. And, my creativity is focused around whatever brand I'm working with.
Right.
So for the month of January, I'm actually just focused on myself and creating content for me right now, which is really a great thing. And, I really encourage to always be creating something, like always, even if you feel like you're in a rut, figure out a way to create something or start playing with, clicking photos or videos or reels, whatever. And creativity like comes to you, I feel, as you are already engaging in it. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I find so January for me, because I haven't been able to get out and take photos, I've been going back and using the photos that I already have and trying to re-edit them, do different things. I got some new software, which I'm really excited about, and using that stuff. So it's fun and exciting, but it's been a challenge. I mean, obviously the quarantine it made it challenging. So what I know, I loved your quarantine content. I thought you nailed it on social media with your quarantine content. It was the best content out there.
Thank you. That makes me like so happy.
It was really fun. It was fun, and it was aware of what was happening, but not too serious and too. It was a lot of fun. So what would you say to people if they are and I've got a question for you in a second, but what would you say to people if they're, struggling with what to create now? Because in New York, especially, we're still sort of in pretty much a lockdown. So what would you say to people as they're trying to create things?
For me in quarantine, I knew that I wanted to be sensitive of the fact that, hey, we're all in this. I wanted to promote safety. I wanted to promote like, hey, we should all be wearing masks. So I was trying to I wanted to have a fun spin on it and, kind of that like a little bit of humor. So like, you'll see, like I have a lot of like faux cocktails or whatever. Like I remember when the quarantini, like that word first came out, I was like, that's it. I'm doing a quarantini post and like, stage like a quarantine martini and all this stuff. So I just tried to make do with what I had at home. That tripod that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Like a tripod for your phone is the most essential thing you can have. Seriously. And a Bluetooth clicker. Yes. It is the most essential thing you can have. And I think just creating content that is real to you. A lot of the stuff I would do too is I'd be like dressed up in something ridiculous that's sitting on my couch, and it's like, hey, I'm a little bit over the top and I'm still at home.
Yeah.
So I just tried to, I think staying true to yourself, and if you have a message that you want to convey with everything going on, I think being sensitive too to the fact that, hey, a lot of like, for me as a fashion blogger, I did start doing a lot of more like loungewear, sweatsuits, robes, slippers, focus on things that people are actually going to be really wearing. Like, yes, I'm in something over the top sitting on my couch. That's not every day. Like, I'm not posting that same thing every day. I tried to kind of tie in like real world, what's happening and what everybody else is experiencing and wearing at home.
Wearing at home. Yeah. Yeah. Especially, and that's something that I tell people all the time. You have to be aware of your audience and aware of what they're doing, because you need to connect with your audience. Yeah. And that's really important. So the question that I have here is, somebody wants to know if you create daily or in bulk.
It depends. In quarantine, I was creating daily or like every other day, just because I was at home, and at home creating fast content on your own can be a little bit more difficult unless you're doing like a product shoot. But if you're trying to do a shoot for yourself, you know, it's a little bit more difficult. And it takes a lot of time if you're going to be creating, if you're in the photo, it takes a lot of time, you know, and that's something that people don't always think about. You know, I can't tell you how many times I would shoot, you know, like 50 images, go back and be like, I don't like any of this, or the lighting is weird here, or, you know, this or that. So I think unless you're doing product shooting, it's like, it was daily for me.
Yeah.
But in terms of like now, like for instance, this morning I went out and shot with Ariel, who we were talking about earlier, and I did 4 looks in 1 hour. So that's content that I'm going to have for like next week and the week after.
Right.
So it just really depends on what's going on.
Yeah. And I have some tips that I go, because things that I learned from you really go into my tips for photo shoots, because I tell people all the time, bring multiple outfits, you know, I'm going to do a little story on this later, but I joined one of this, a style, like a clothing rental thing, because I'm on video all the time. And like you said, we're not cartoons. So we always want to change our outfits and stuff. And I was running out of clothes, and I'm like, but I don't want to buy, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting at home, so I didn't want to buy new clothes. So actually Express has a style rental thing, and you can rent and send back, and they do the dry cleaning for you. I'm like, perfect, because it's exactly what I needed, just to have some fresh looks. But I found it very hard to create in bulk during quarantine, because I didn't know what was going to happen. Even for my clients, I didn't know what was going to happen the next week, let alone, you know, a month in chunks out. So it's been interesting. But yeah, lots of, whenever I get out, like I went to the city once and I brought like five shirts, a couple jackets. Like I got to
put my tripod on the, you know, out on the street.
Exactly. In the middle of the street, I got to, you know, you do what you got to do.
You do what you have to do. But yeah, and you're totally right. I didn't even touch on that. How in quarantine, a lot of, you know, I was doing my content daily or every other day, but I didn't necessarily know what I was going to be posting the next day. I was like, "Ooh, I have an idea," and like, you know, I'd wake up one day and be like, "Okay, I'm going to run with it. This is what I'm going to like. This is the content I'm going to create today." So on that, and then rewind a bit. Something I wanted to add when you were talking about January, like batching your content, shifting gears. For January, when you were also asking about what I'm like excited about, we're talking about how you're, you know, trying to like create your images in new ways. I actually started, and I should have added this when I was talking about it. For January, I'm focused on, I am creating new content, but I'm also recycling old content, like Jonathan was saying, because I was going through some of the old content that I have, and it's great content. And chances are someone who, you know, a new follower isn't going to have scrolled like, you know, 2 years down on my feed and see the content. So recycling my content, and I'm spinning it as new year, same me, and just recycling the content. And that's totally okay to do if, you know, if you are in lockdown and you're like, I can't create every day, or I can't do this, I can't batch. It's a great tool to have.
It's a great tool to have. Yeah, definitely a lot of, you know, throwback stuff and batching it and doing New Year, same me, which I love, because I'm not a New Year's resolution type of person. I'm not, you know, so there's definitely some opportunities to recycle it. And I, like you, I was looking back at some of my content, some of the things, like the last time I saw you was when you had just finished model camp, right?
Yes, Coco Rocha model camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to the World Trade Center. Yeah.
And the train station.
Yeah.
The Oculus. Thank you. So, and I was looking at some of that content, and I was like, wow, we took a bunch of pictures. And I was like, I could use some of this content. I think I did one for your birthday this year from down there. But yeah, I mean, like, we have so much content. And if you're doing social media, you'll notice if you go back, you selected one of many photos
Yes.
that you had taken, including, you know, ones that you do yourself. Like right now I'm struggling with the light because it went from light to dark and now my lights are too bright. But you know, like you have so much content and you can use it in different ways and be creative and use it in reels or use it at, you know, create slideshows with pictures you've done. There's so many different ways you can use it. So
I actually did a roll up for 2020. I saw it actually, another like really huge fashion blogger in Germany did this, and it was 10 moments from 2020 that didn't seem like 2020. And I was like, ooh, that's a great idea, you know? And so I used photos, but I placed them all in a reels. So it was still just static photos. And that's all content that I already had. Like it took me like no time to create it. So definitely go back and look at some of your old content. It's also a great way to get re-inspired again.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Hello, Richard. Richard is saying hello. He popped on, so saying hello to him.
Hello.
And so I have a question. Gina was the last person for that did member chats in 2020, and she had everybody gets to ask a question to the next guest.
Okay.
So she had a question for you, and it was, what is the one thing that you commit to in 2021 that you haven't been doing, but you know you need to do more of or be consistent with?
My blog newsletter. My newsletter. I don't think I sent a newsletter all of 2020. That is terrible. As a blogger, as a business, as you know, that's terrible. It's a great way to connect with your community, to connect with, you know, your audience. And that is my goal for 2021, is to be consistent with my newsletter. I'm not talking like I want to spam people, because newsletters sometimes too much. I'm talking maybe like once, you know, every 2 weeks or once a month or something like that. But my newsletter is definitely what I need to focus on.
Yeah, I have to get my emails, because as a business, I should be emailing 3 times a week. Am I emailing 3 times a month? Maybe. Probably not. So yeah. And we have to remember that, you know, as we see with everything happening on social media, this could go away.
Yes.
We don't know what's going to happen. This could go away. So we really need to make sure that we're engaging our followers, so we don't lose tens of thousands of people that we're talking to daily. Just
totally.
goes away.
Totally.
So,
and if you're, I'm assuming everybody on here, if you're a business owner, you have a website. If you don't, you have to create one. Like, you can't just have social media. You know, I always look, you know, whether it's I'm going to a website, I always look to see if they have Instagram personally. I'm always like, oh, do they have Instagram? And then vice versa. If you're just on Instagram and you don't have a website, like, it doesn't match. But, you know, different people are going to be wanting to find you different ways. And it's important to keep that in mind. But also, your website is the only thing that you actually own. So if something happens, if your account gets hacked on like Facebook or Instagram and you can't get it back, you know, like something terrible, or the platform goes away, because that could happen too, your website and your newsletter list with all of your emails is going to be the only way that you'll be able to keep in contact with your audience.
Yeah, and it's so important, because you just never know. I mean, there was an influencer out in New York City that lost everything like 3 weeks into the pandemic, and I remember seeing just posts about trying to get them there. They were a photographer and they had like 100,000 followers.
I don't know what I would do. I think I would like lock myself in a dark room probably for a month and cry.
Yeah, I mean, they were a photographer and they had their portfolio website, but that was it, and it wasn't a public facing, and they were just trying to get an Instagram, never gave it back to them. And yeah, or, you know, also terrifying is the guy who used the drone climbing to the tops of buildings, and he was recently arrested for flying the drone where he's not supposed to be.
Oh, wow. Well,
yeah, and you know, so remember that
social media can get you in trouble too. So.
Yes, it can. It's a wonderful thing, and it is an amazing thing that can help you really reach people, but be aware of what you put out there.
Yes.
So
yes, once it's out there, it's out there.
It is, exactly. So I'm going to have you ask a question to Tasmanika is the next person on. She's one of the students that has taken my class. She's going to be, and she's a BNI director, so she's going to be on in 2 weeks. So you'll get to ask a question to her whenever you have it ready, because I didn't give you the advance warning on that. I totally forgot. Like I said, I've been out of my rhythm for the past 3 weeks. I'm a little slow to get back to it. So, but what
Wait,
else?
I have a question. I have a question.
You do? All right.
I guess, what feature of, like, is there a new feature on Instagram that you are planning to learn more? That doesn't make much sense, but is there a feature of Instagram that you are going to look into educating yourself further on?
Yep, so you can reach a new audience, and which one of the new features or features you're not using would you like to use?
Yeah.
Excellent. And there's lots
of wording that for me. It made sense in my head, and when I said it, I was like, that does not make any sense.
No, it's a good one though. So what else? What did I miss? Is there something I missed that you want to share with everybody? Something I missed that you want to tell me? You want to tell them a really weird story about me from when we Dani's the first person that got me in front of a camera. One of the only people now, and now Eve takes credit for the video. But Eve would not have been able to get video if I hadn't been pushed to be in front of the camera by Dani. So
I know, it's about time.
I know.
As a business owner, speaking of this, and you and I have talked about this many times, you have to show your face to people. Yep. You have to get yourself in front of it, even if it's an introduction. And I know that you, Jonathan, have recommended doing, a Reels, doing like an introduction about yourself. You don't even have to talk, just be in front of the camera and then put the text that you want to say, or a static post and have information about yourself. Because as a business owner, especially when things are so crazy in our world right now, I want to know that whatever business I'm going to, I want to know who runs it. I want to know why they run it. What are their values? It's a very important time for us to be questioning brands, that we support and things like that. So I think it's super important as a business owner to convey your message, show your face, tell people why you do what you do. And that's going to also build your relationship with others.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. I know we are on the same wavelength with this, but it's something that I really have been trying to push with people, because I think it's hard for a consumer right now to know who they should be shopping with. And if you make it easy for them by showing who you are, what you believe, and what you offer them, that's going to make all the difference in the world, because people want to know that they're doing business with people they like, know, and trust, but also people that have the same values as them.
Totally.
And that's also amazing for small businesses who are trying to reach customers, because there's lots of people. I say this all the time. There's lots of people that do fashion. There's lots of people that do social media, but you're not going to go to just any of them. You're going to come to me because you connect with me. The people are going to follow you because they connect with you. They like what you have to say. And the only reason that they can see that is because we put it out there. And I think that's so important for businesses, small businesses, all the small businesses listening, watching. I think that's a really key point. So
totally. Make it easy for people to come support your business. Put it out there. If you don't put it out there and someone has to go look for it, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah. And both sides of every issue. I mean, whether I agree with them or don't, there are people that are on one side of the issue or people that are on the other side of the issue, and they want to shop with people that share their values. They want to spend money with people that are going to support their thoughts, and that is something that, agree or disagree, that is part of the economy. That's part of what we're doing. And that's part of us as businesses. So I think it's important for us to take a stand and let people know where we stand. And if you don't like me, don't follow me. That's quite all right with me, so.
Interestingly enough, Jonathan, you were the one who told me a while ago, like years ago, I was complaining about something that like somebody had unfollowed me or something. And I took it personally, and you were like, you're not going to be for everybody. And it's like, oh, you're right. Not everybody is gonna, like me or like my brand, or, not everyone's gonna like your business, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And don't take it personally. I know it's sometimes so hard to not take it personally. But there's plenty of other people that, want to support your brand, love your brand. So don't get caught up in,
Yeah, don't get caught up in it, because they're, like I said, and social media is insane how many people are using the platforms. If you wanted to get everybody on social media, I mean, you wouldn't have time. There is no time as it is with the followers that we have, that we're trying to make sure that we're engaging with them actively. We don't have time.
Yeah.
So, just get the ones that care about you, that are really, and then focus on the super fans, those fans that follow, comment, like everything. Focus on them, because they're going to help you get more people like them.
Totally. And listen, everything, social media is great, but everything is also word of mouth. And think of, as a business, if someone comes to your business, say you're a restaurant, post it on Instagram, and they have friends that are all going to see it, on their channel, that's like a win-win. So Instagram is basically like the new word of mouth, you know what I mean? But it's visual, and that's a huge win. So yeah.
I totally agree. And I'm in BNI, and I go to my meetings and stuff, and I do that networking, and I tell people in those meetings, what you're doing here is exactly what you should be doing on social media. It's exactly, you're building those relationships, you're building, and it's a long-term gain. It's not an immediate thing. You have to understand that it's long-term, and otherwise, because then you're going to be like, I spent all this time doing this and I didn't get any customers in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's normal, because it's a long-term game. You're building relationships so that they come to you when they need you, or they have a question, or anything. So
I tell brands that all the time. When I work with brands, I have a lot of brands that understand that sometimes it takes a while, especially like, for example, working with like a jewelry store, like a fine jewelry store. Is everybody in the market for fine jewelry? No, probably not. And
right.
So it takes time, but when people see it and then they're like, oh, cool, what is this brand? They go look at the page, and maybe they don't need fine jewelry right now, but there will be a time, like, what if they get engaged and they're like, oh, I saw this great shop, or they save the post, someone wants to buy themselves something really nice. They're like, oh, wait, I know where to go now. Like, I have a recommendation from somebody that I trust.
Yep.
So, I think you can always, like, for me, from my standpoint, I can always guarantee brand awareness. Can I guarantee a number of sales? No, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to come see you. I actually worked with a medical spa, and this was like a while ago. I worked with them probably like a year and a half ago. I recently had a few people reach out to me and be like, oh, by the way, I just went. It takes people time, not everybody is ready to go like at the drop of a hat. So you have to think about that from a business perspective. Like, people will know about you, and when they're ready, they'll know who you are.
Exactly. So that reminded me of the one question that I wanted to make sure I asked you that I didn't ask you, which is, if you had, because I know I've been talking to a couple people in the group that are looking to kind of jump into the social media influence game. And, when you're working with brands, what would you recommend for them? Like, if they're putting together something for a brand, what should they make sure they include? What should they make sure they, some of those things for them? So
like a pitch letter or content?
Maybe let's go with the pitch letter, so they can tell, this is what I can do, so they don't make the mistake of promising sales and not being able to get them.
And I think it's, influencers are held to a very high standard in some things, and some people's expectations are just too high. Point blank. Like, I worked with a brand like 2 years ago, and it was an in-store thing. And I posted that day, and the next day they reached out and they're like, we haven't had anybody come in yet. And I'm like, literally, it's the very next day. Give people time. So I think, first of all, knowing when too much is being asked of you is very important, and something that you have to keep in mind as an influencer.
Yeah.
If you are going to reach out with a pitch letter, I would say, first of all, don't send them a pitch letter on Instagram. If anything, reach out, like, say that you can't find their PR person. Hello, Google is amazing. I have found people's PR contacts when I go to Fashion Week, oh, Fashion Week.
It'll be back.
My last trip to New York was Fashion Week last February. Obviously can't go this year, but I just Googled their PR person, like the brand's PR person, and request an invite and find their email that way. You can reach out to a brand on social media and just say, hi, I'm an influencer. I'm interested in sending a formal pitch letter. Do you have a social media, a point of contact that you can provide me with so I can follow up an email? I think sending something on Instagram can be just like, yes, it's a way to do business, but when you take it the next level, kind of sets you apart and makes it look like, okay, I'm a true professional.
Right.
I think include, email, include about yourself. You need a media sheet. Also, if you're going to do this, include your media sheet, which has who you are, your audience, your reach, your demographics, everything, and explain to them why you want to work with them and offer them something, or, in exchange, I'd love to follow up with you or talk with you, over the phone, whatever it is, but be sure that you're telling them who you are and why you want to work with them, because brands are getting approached all the time. And a lot of them are probably like, this person just wants something for free. So set yourself apart and make it a legit, professional relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And respect. Rich Lupino saying, time's important for everybody. So respect their time and understand that they've got other things, not just you.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that people do, they don't necessarily think of. So my hand just looks huge there coming close to the camera.
I talk with my hands and I can see my hands. And I'm like, oh, let me something, twiddle my thumbs or something.
So the person that I learned video from says it's okay as long as they're away from your face and you have open palms, it's not threatening. But when it came that close, I was like, oh gosh, make sure I had a manicure, which I haven't. So anyway, what was that? I had a point on that. Oh, are they doing anything virtually for Fashion Week for you this year? Or no?
A lot of, so in September, some of them did have live streams.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's not the same, obviously, but
yeah,
something at least. And I did see, this is kind of cool. In September, I'm not sure that they can do it as much in February because it's much colder. A lot of a lot of brands did their shows on rooftops in New York City. So people could actually go and, be a part of it, and they were distanced out. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I'm sure February would be a lot harder to do, but but maybe, who knows?
No,
it's just cold. It's cold in New York. So it'll be New York Fashion Week in Florida.
Swim week or whatever they call it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't have anything else. If you don't have anything else for us, I don't see many other questions. So I think we are, and we went 40 minutes, which is about what time I expected. So, we didn't get too far off base. But
no,
thank you.
I hope it was helpful for everyone. I hope I didn't ramble, but there's just so much when it comes to social media, 40 minutes, literally. We don't have time.
We don't have time. That's why Jonathan teaches 10-week courses on social media to get you started.
It's a beast. I've been doing this six and a half years. I know you've been doing this
4+ years, but also doing social media with my other business before, with my other work. Yeah. So,
and we're still learning. Learning. There's always going to be a new feature. The things that were back when we started, things that we did then, we probably wouldn't do now. It changes. So you have to evolve. Yeah.
Yep. And you know what? Somebody says they love your feed, which
thank you so much.
Which they should. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And there's times that I'll be like, Dani, what the hell are you doing with this? Because I don't know what to do with this. And I said, I'm the social media guy, but there are times I don't know what we're using things for. And I have a feeling that Clubhouse is going to be one of them that we're going to be talking about a lot. Because it's interesting to me. It's oversaturated already with social media people. So I think we need to wait till it opens the doors to really start hitting hard there. But there's interesting opportunities. So
for sure.
Yeah. So, Dog, hi. You wanted to come and see the blonde lady?
Hey, they didn't bark. That's surprising.
I know. No barking from the dog. So yeah. So thank you very much. I guess I will sign off to everybody there. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we are doing what do we do on Fridays? We do I haven't been doing this for so long. I'm out of my rhythm. Fridays, we celebrate our successes. So we'll be talking about what we accomplished and how we're going to be celebrating our successes, which is really exciting. Hope everybody had lots of them. Feel free to put them in a post. Let me know what you succeeded on. And next Thursday, I'll be premiering the first episode of season 2.5 of The Antisocial Guy. So I only did part of a season with everything going on last year. So I'm doing season 2.5. So it's not quite season 3, but we'll be premiering the first episode of that next Thursday. So I'll be working on that. And I will see everybody soon. Take care.
Bye.
Let me end this.